Tonight, the White House's new move to send the military into American cities. The California National Guard now on the ground in Oregon, officials say, with protests against immigration raids erupting in Portland. And in Chicago, where one woman was shot in a confrontation with agents. President Trump insisting troops are needed to protect ICE officers, but Democratic governors pushing back.
They want to create the war zone so that they can send in even more troops.
Late-breaking developments on the escalating tensions. Plus, as the president salutes the Navy, no pay for those military members during this government shutdown, with negotiations at a standstill tonight. What to expect in the week ahead. Despite new hope for a Gaza ceasefire, more attacks in the Middle East. What it means for a critical meeting happening tomorrow. Also, we're learning about a deadly mass shooting in Alabama that sent crowds running for their lives. Look at this. Florida neighborhoods flooded out, and the threat even tonight along the coast. The desperate scramble on Mount Everest, collapsed tents, dangerous cold. The race now to rescue nearly 1,000 people trapped by a blizzard. And there's good news tonight about the kids designing special hats for their favorite quarterback, who's giving back to those who need it most.
This is NBC Nightly News with Hallie Jackson.
Good evening. We begin tonight with escalating tensions over the military being deployed to blue states. And late word tonight, National Guard troops are on the ground in another Democratic-led city, this time Portland. You see there new protests and arrests overnight. It is not the Oregon National Guard the White House is activating. That deployment was blocked by a judge less than 24 hours ago. It is California's National Guard being sent there now by the Trump administration, even as California tonight threatens to sue. And in Chicago, more fallout when demonstrations there turned violent after a woman was shot by federal agents, allegedly while trying to ram her car into officers. Tonight, the president sounding determined to stay the course, even as Democrats push back. Our Maggie Vespa starts us off.
Amid explosive protests over immigration raids in Chicago and Portland, tonight new pushback against the president's plans to send federal troops, with California Governor Gavin Newsom writing, "We're suing Donald Trump," saying the president, in quote, a breathtaking abuse of the law and power, is now sending 300 California National Guard personnel to Oregon. Oregon's governor saying 101 arrived last night, with more on the way today. This after a federal judge yesterday blocked the administration's attempt to deploy Oregon's National Guard. The president today.
Things like that are just too bad. I appointed the judge. Portland is burning to the ground. You have agitators, insurrectionists.
The administration arguing troops are needed to protect ICE agents, saying gangs, cartels, and terrorist organizations have put bounties on their heads.
It's been $2,000 to kidnap them, $10,000 to kill them. They've released their pictures. It's an extremely dangerous situation and unprecedented.
The Department of Homeland Security says this video out of Chicago Saturday shows one attack on ICE officers in that white truck, the black SUV repeatedly slamming into it. The agency saying a similar incident nearby led to this protest. DHS says the protest came after Border Patrol agents shot and injured this woman, a U.S. citizen who they say was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. They say she was part of a group that ambushed and rammed officers with their vehicles. She's in FBI custody tonight, facing federal charges. NBC News has reached out to her, but we haven't heard back. It's unclear if she has an attorney. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker blaming the unrest on escalating ICE raids.
They broke windows, they broke down doors, they ransacked the place, and there were people that were held, elderly people and children zip-tied. They are the ones that are making it a war zone.
Maggie is joining us now live from the ICE detention facility near Chicago. And Maggie, we can see some demonstrators, a handful of them gathering tonight. What is the timing for possible boots on the ground in Chicago?
Yeah, Hallie, we have this small crowd over my shoulder here. As far as boots on the ground goes and that timing, we're hearing it's imminent. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said yesterday the president was planning to federalize 300 Illinois National Guard troops, quote, in the coming hours. We're out to the White House for more clarity. So far, no response. Hallie.
Maggie Vespa near Chicago. Thank you. And with those troops working unpaid for now during this government shutdown, zero sign of any progress to get things back up and running, with shutdown negotiations at a standstill. Julie Sirkin reports.
President Trump tonight celebrating the Navy's 250th birthday in Virginia as the government shutdown enters its second week.
Despite the current Democrat-induced shutdown, we will get our service members every last penny. Don't worry about it.
The president today blaming Democrats for his administration's plan to fire federal workers.
Taking place right now, and it's all because of the Democrats. The Democrats are causing the loss of a lot of jobs with their it's a shutdown.
It's the White House's decision to let them go.
Are you worried about getting laid off?
Very. I've been there for 20 years. I love my job.
Tammy Ford comes from a family of federal employees, and right now she's working without pay.
Not having a paycheck, not having our resources to rely on is going to be very difficult with daycare, medications, and just everyday living.
The consequences of the shutdown are now a reality for millions of Americans.
Consideration should be given to the bulk of the people who are suffering right now.
Americans who don't work for the government are still feeling the pain. Food benefits to moms and young children could dry up in days. Social Security checks are still going out, but be prepared to wait longer. And national parks and monuments partially closed. The Smithsonian now saying museums will close next weekend if the shutdown's still on. The stalemate in Washington due to Democrats' demands that Republicans address health care issues in the funding bill.
Are you open to extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies?
We want to fix it so it works. It's not working. Obamacare has been a disaster for the people, so we want to have it fixed so it works.
The subsidies expired this year and could spike premiums for Americans.
How do Americans who are struggling, sitting at the table Friday night figuring out how to pay the bills, how the heck can they get such an increase?
But Republicans say no negotiations until Democrats reopen the government.
We need them to turn the lights back on so that everyone can do their work.
Julie is joining us from the White House tonight. And Julie, one of the key data points moving forward could be how Americans see the blame game in all this.
Yeah, absolutely, Hallie. And look, it could always change the longer the shutdown goes on. But a new poll out today shows President Trump and Republicans get most of the blame at 39%. 30% of Americans blame Democrats. But here's the catch. 31% say both parties are equally responsible. Hallie?
Julie Sirkin at the White House, thank you. Melanie Zanona is on Capitol Hill for us. And Mel, for any Americans maybe expecting, say, a buzz of activity with pressure building on lawmakers, it's a far cry from that where you are, right?
Yeah, it's very quiet here on Capitol Hill. The Senate has been out all weekend, but the Senate will take yet another vote tomorrow on the GOP's stopgap spending bill. That bill is expected to fail for a fifth time. And meanwhile, House Republican leaders have decided to keep their members home all week. But we are looking out for some signs of a potential breakthrough. One, do more Senate Democrats peel off and start voting with Republicans to reopen the government? So far, only 3 Senate Democrats have done so. And two, does President Trump instruct Republicans to cut a deal with Democrats on Affordable Care Act subsidies? So far, the leadership in both parties are not talking, but lawmakers say there have been quiet conversations among rank and file members. Hallie.
Melanie Zanona on Capitol Hill. Thank you. Also tonight, top officials are now converging on the Middle East for key talks tomorrow. And despite new hope for a possible ceasefire in Gaza, as Matt Bradley reports, the fighting has not let up.
Tonight, talk of a ceasefire hasn't silenced the guns over Gaza. Health authorities here say dozens have died in the past few days, even after President Trump warned Israel to stop bombing Gaza. We were happy and joyful, said this displaced Palestinian man, but unfortunately, there's no translation for this on the ground. Diplomats are gathering in Egypt to hash out unresolved details of Trump's peace plan, and there are many. But Israel's leader and the president remain optimistic.
They've started the negotiation. It'll last a couple of days. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm hearing it's going very well.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says he hopes to announce the release of the hostages in the coming days. American Rachel Goldberg-Polin is still among the loudest voices calling for their release, long after Hamas murdered her son in captivity.
I know these families. I don't want any of their mothers to be like me, and I will be so happy and relieved for them when they have their children back in their hands.
But her son Hirsch won't be among them, a reality she has reluctantly come to accept.
Hamas murdered your son, and the terms of this deal say that if they give up their weapons, that they will be forgiven. What do you think about that?
You know, nothing can bring Hirsch back. and I tend to look at this in a very zoomed out way. I don't have this fiery, venomous anger that I think wouldn't serve me in any purpose, honestly.
Hamas and Israel are both sending senior delegates for negotiations that begin tomorrow in Egypt, and Trump is dispatching his top Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to join the talks as well. Hallie?
At least 2 people have been killed and a dozen others hurt in a mass shooting in downtown Montgomery overnight during the Alabama State Fair. People ended up running for their lives. You can see it here when they heard shots fired. Look at that. Police say they think one of the victims was targeted, but that things escalated when people nearby reacted by pulling out their own weapons. They're still investigating. Now to the flood threat along Florida's east coast, with high tides sweeping through whole neighborhoods. Here's Ryan Chandler.
I haven't seen it like this in years. Look at that.
High tides inundating neighborhoods in Florida this weekend, with parts of the region also soaked with more than 4 inches of rain since Friday.
Some people are literally like blocked in their house until the tide goes out a little bit because the streets are so full of water.
Paul Dable took these videos while driving through a flooded road in his neighborhood.
This is all just from the tide. It's not even rain flooding.
That is exactly right. It's just the tides.
In Utah, lightning lighting up the night sky, with Salt Lake City recording its second wettest day in history with nearly 2.5 inches of rain.
We are out of sandbags.
Officials there say rain damaged 28 residential structures. And back in Florida, the threat is not over. Flood alerts remain in effect through tomorrow, with areas like Daytona Beach at risk for up to another inch of rain. Ryan Chandler, NBC News.
Still ahead tonight, subway surfing turning deadly in one city and raising new questions about the role of social media in dangerous stunts coast to coast. We are back with word of a deadly subway surfing incident in New York. 2 girls killed riding on top of a train. And as Aaron McLaughlin reports, there's growing concern about so-called social media challenges that can turn dangerous, even deadly.
Tonight, a new warning out of New York City tied to the dangerous stunt known as subway surfing. This weekend, officials say 2 girls were found dead after playing the game, which involves riding atop a moving subway car.
This is really tragic.
While subway surfing has been a problem for decades, some argue social media is helping to fuel the latest surge of deadly stunts. New York City officials say in the first 6 months of this year, more than 1,800 subway surfing videos have been taken down.
It's hard to see a child get killed that way.
And the problem goes well beyond New York City, including this footage showing people riding an upside-down tabletop tied to a moving vehicle. Just weeks ago, in a similar stunt, a Pennsylvania teen was charged with involuntary manslaughter after allegedly killing his 17-year-old friend who'd been sitting atop the upside-down table. Prosecutors are calling it a dangerous TikTok challenge. In a statement to NBC News, TikTok says any content that promotes dangerous behavior, which may lead to serious injury, is a violation of our community guidelines and will be removed. When NBC News searched for subway surfing on TikTok, the platform replied with this message, urging users to learn how to recognize harmful challenges.
They're doing it for, maybe a little bit of the prestige, but what's it all for if, it's over in a moment?
Tonight, New York City's top transit official warning the trend is not surfing, it's suicide. Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News.
We are back in a moment with the emergency on Mount Everest, the desperate race to save nearly 1,000 people trapped on the mountain. Also tonight, the desperate race against time to try to save nearly 1,000 people stranded on Mount Everest after a blizzard there. Camila Bernal reports.
A desperate rush to rescue hundreds of hikers stuck near the world's tallest mountain. A blizzard left nearly 1,000 people trapped on Tibet's eastern slope of Mount Everest, according to Chinese state media.
I'm sure there's a sense of urgency as all hands on deck.
Freezing temperatures and heavy snow putting local villagers and rescue teams on a race against the clock. Alan Arnett is a mountaineering coach who has climbed Mount Everest.
It's going to be a massive human effort in order to reach those people.
While some have already been rescued, many still reportedly stuck at an altitude of 16,000 feet. Hiker Chen Gu-shuang made it out, but some in her group still recovering from hypothermia. She says the unexpected snowstorm was really frightening, adding she worried that lightning might strike their camp and kill them. The monsoon causing snowfall Friday evening and Saturday, also bringing heavy rain to neighboring Nepal. The army called in for rescues. Landslides and flash floods have killed at least 44 people, according to authorities.
Normally, we don't see this type of heavy disaster happening this time of year, especially a blizzard of this magnitude.
But Arnett says when you're approaching Everest, you have to be prepared for everything. Camila Bernal, NBC News.
When we come back, there is good news tonight about the special gift these kids are making to spotlight their favorite quarterback who's giving back. There is good news tonight about the NFL quarterback making dreams come true for kids when they need it most.
I'm Carson. I'm Morgan Mackenzie.
For these kids at Oshai Children's Hospital in Buffalo,
I'm Nico. I'm 5 years old.
A chance to get in the game. All 9 of them here to design hats for their hero, Bills quarterback Josh Allen. At every home game this season, Allen is wearing a new era cap with each of the kids' designs when he gets his head in the game during his tunnel walk. And then they're being auctioned to benefit the Patricia Allen Fund, Josh's charity that benefits critical care teams at the hospital. Charlie, is there a favorite moment from the season so far?
When he wore the hat.
12-year-old Charlie Ressler has been battling cancer since last year. And throughout his treatments, his love of the Bills kept him going. And a dream come true when his hat was worn by his favorite player.
I felt pretty honored, and I think it was super cool.
For Mom Heather and grandmother Tony, it meant the world.
We were just so thankful to have that opportunity for Charlie.
15-year-old Mackenzie Lindsay designed her hat with sunflowers and a ribbon for her battle against sickle cell anemia.
It doesn't feel real, honestly. I didn't expect it would raise so much money, and I'm glad it did because it's going for a good cause. And I'm just glad I'm able to be a part of that.
Her mom, Shakia, beaming with pride.
It's amazing because she goes through so much, but she does it with so much grace. So to see her get recognized, it's surreal.
Mackenzie getting a special shout out from Allen when he thanked the kids for their artistry.
That is awesome. I wish I could draw like that.
The quarterback telling NBC Sports this week.
To wear these hats that are designed by these children who, are going under some of the hardest situations that you can ever imagine. It's a pretty cool feeling.
A little extra love for these fans. How do you hope the Bills do this season, Charlie? What are your hopes for the team?
I hope they win the Super Bowl.
And their time to shine alongside their favorite team.
Go Bills!
Go Bills!
And that is Nightly News for this Sunday. You can watch Josh Allen and the Bills next up against the Patriots on Sunday Night Football here on NBC. Tom will be back tomorrow. I'm Hallie Jackson. For all of us here at NBC, thanks for watching and have a great week.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.